Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update. It is Tuesday, 22nd of July, and this video is as usual for educational purposes only. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever, and it is purely to demonstrate how I try to read the market using technical analysis and with my experience. And today we'll have a look at Google that had a very good day yesterday, following through on the past week's gain, pushing higher towards minor resistance here around 192.70. But positive sentiment, no divergence on the RSI, indicating likely higher levels, and I think we will see it pushing above the 192, 195 area, where you have a bit of resistance. We can see here on the weekly chart on the right that it seems strong. If RSI closes back above 60 threshold here on the week, well, then there is some potential back to all-time highs just below 210. And that has, of course, helped the Nasdaq market a bit yesterday, staying above because some of the other major stocks in the index were a little bit less positive, if you can say so. But we're still in a bullish trend. RSI have broken above its slightly falling trend line there. Still a little bit of divergence. I think, let me check, 72, 68. No, there's no divergence anymore. So if I do this, you're going to actually see it slightly rising. So it's cancelled that. So there's a potential higher for Nasdaq and other indices. Also, if we're moving on to pre-market, basically unchanged, so no need to talk much about that. But let's have a look at S&P 500. What did it do yesterday? It set back a little bit after a bullish day. We can see a little spike up there, but there is a slight divergence here. You can see RSI values declined, market moved higher, so we do have a little bit of uptrend exhaustion, but for now we are still in a bullish trend as long as we stay above 6,200. The Dow Jones Index a little bit sideways, trading here. No divergence on the RSI at all. We have the in the Asia session, Seng closed about 25,000 and confirming its bullish trend. No divergence on the RSI, indicating likely higher levels for the Asian index or for the Hong Kong index. Nikkei tried once again this morning to get above 40,120. Couldn't stay above, spiked above, and then sat back. So it's still this range. Really needs to close above for a bullish trend to resume. On the European indices, well, EURUSTOXX50 a little bit lower yesterday, but still in a bullish trend, but struggling here. As we can see, it's in the cloud, so a little bit neutral. What I would do, I will add a horizontal line to that one, say 5,298. If we start breaking below that, then we could see downtrend unfolding down to around 5,200. Here pre-market basically unchanged, 5,287 on the or 85 it is on the CFD. On the DAX index, well, it still in this bullish trend, but it is also seems to a little bit exhaustion mode. But it really needs to push higher above at least 24,495 for a chance to break to new higher levels towards 25,000. There is some support. I will actually adjust this a little bit. It seems to be here at 23,975. That is the key support here, 23,921 on the CFD. On the FX market, we had euro dollar bouncing yesterday, very close to 117.25. I always add a little bit here. We have 117.22. If it closes above that, I actually think a break is enough. Then uptrend is likely to resume, and especially if RSI closes back above 60 threshold, then upside to resume. I believe it will happen, but it's not a given. But if it does, then the potential to 119, 120. sterling dollar that has bounced, and I think it could still bounce a little bit further, but we can see 55 moving average giving it a hard time there. If it takes out 133.55, downtrend has been established and potentially down to around 132, 131. But for now, we are back above the cloud. We were never below, we were just in it. So we could bounce further, I believe, in the coming days and weeks. Euro sterling also trying to bounce here. If it takes out 87, well, 87.5, 88 is in the cards. Moving on to dollar yen, that has still in the bullish trend, positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence, indicating likely higher levels, but taking a breather. If it takes out 149.20, then I think we could see a push up to around 151. The 200 moving average kind of putting a lid on here just below 150, but there should be potential up to it. If it takes out 146.90, well, we could see a correction down to 146, 145. Euro yen struggling here to really take off above 173. It did spike above, actually closed above, I think. So there is potential higher also. If we're looking at the weekly, there's still potential up to around the 175.5 area, where we see some resistance, of course. No divergence on the weekly RSI indicating we could get there, but on the daily there is a bit divergence. You can see that the RSI values are declining, so indicating a bit of a trend exhaustion. 170s, but 80 is the key support level. If it closes below that, then there's a trend reversal. Aussie yen still sliding a little bit lower, could get back to 95.75, possibly down to 95.25. But then I think it will bounce back. We are still in a bullish trend. There's no divergence on the RSI, indicating likely higher levels. On the sterling yen, well, it is still just below the 200. That is a key resistance. This goes way back a couple of years. You can see it here, actually back to last year, October last year, exactly that spot there. So just below 200, really key resistance. The Aussie dollar, well, range bound here. It did spike below, but it closed above, so it's still range bound 64.85 and 65.95. That's the range, and my guess is as good as euros at the moment. Will it establish a bearish trend, or will it stay range bound here for some time? Dollar Canada, oops, let's just resize it. Dollar Canada, well, got rejected here just at the cloud edge and the 55 moving average area and the 786 retracement. If it takes out 136.35, I will actually adjust that. So because I always add or subtract a little bit to the levels, here we are. So just to didn't really materialize, but I didn't do that. So let's try again. There we are. There we are. So it's always a little bit. Give me a little bit of leeway there. All right. Just a little minute minor. 136.35. Taking out that, then the downtrend is resuming. Sterling Canada. Sterling Canada in bounce from the 183.35 and the lower part of the cloud. So we have some support there. That seems to be the key. If it takes out that, then expect a push down to 82.60, and possibly down to the 200 moving average, currently around the 182. Euro Swiss, well, up to the 38.2 retracement. If it takes out 92.90, then a downtrend has resumed with a potential down to 92.20. Dollar Swiss is likely to resume a downtrend if it takes out 79.45. Then I think the downtrend will resume, and already we have some indication there. Got rejected here around the falling trend line, and just around the 50% retracement of this sell-off there. Still negative sentiment on the RSI, no divergence, and if RSI closes back below 40 threshold, it will support the bearish picture. Dollar index got rejected around the 786 retracement and the 55 moving average, and I think it will resume downtrend. See, RSI got rejected there at the at the 60 threshold, likely to resume downtrend, will be confirmed 96, 95 if it breaks below and close below that, and RSI back below 40 threshold, then it will confirm that. Energy market and WTI crude oil range bound 69.65 and 64 to the downside should be observed. There could be a lot of volatility in that range. Brent, same picture really, 66.34 and 71.53. The European nat gas markets very close to test the lows there from June. If it takes it out, well, then we are looking at the lows over here, just around 31.30 area. Bearish trend at the moment, and negative sentiment indicating lower levels. The US nat gas also bearish below the 61.8 retracement. I think it will reach the 325 at the 786 retracement. Could drop all the way down to $310, $3. Moving on to interest rates and US 10-year Treasury yields that was pushed lower yesterday below the 200 moving average, but closed above and just around the 38.2 retracement here, 437. There could still be a risk down to, or potential down to around 432 key support, but I think it will bounce a little bit here. And to the upside is 450 area, that is a key resistance. European yields, also lower yesterday, down to the 38.2 retracement at 261. Could slide lower to 254. I'm not quite sure it will do it because we have positive sentiment on the RSI, indicating likely high levels. So I think it will bounce here the next few days. We also have 55 moving average coming up, but there is that potential. The UK 10 at almost down to the 38.2 could still do that. But we have the 55 moving average also coming up here, so keep an eye on that. And I will actually say that if I put a horizontal line, that could be the range down to 455. As long as it stays above that, then we're still in a slightly bullish trend, but you will see a strong resistance here just around 470. On the Bitcoin basically sideways trading. Could see the sliding lower to around 113,678, possibly down to 112. If it takes out 123,231 with the basic peak here, we'll see a new all-time high. But Ethereum, on the other hand, well, it's been very strong lately, but now it seems to be forming a top and reversal pattern. If we get a negative candle today, then we have this doji evening top and reversal pattern that could indicate a correction down to around 3,193, which is the 38.2 retracement. However, RSI, yes, massive divergence, sorry, but it was in extreme above 87. But there's no divergence indicating we could see higher levels in the coming days and weeks. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and talk to you again later.